Everything I wrote in Betrayal has proven to be true.
Yes.
Everything I wrote in Revenge has proven to be true.
Everything Tom Bauer has said is starting to look less like opinion and more like a warning nobody wanted to believe. Because if this is true, then Prince Harry and Meghan didn't just miscalculate their future. They may have walked straight into a slow, very public collapse that's been building in plain sight all along. Everything begins with a promise that now feels almost haunting. The belief that leaving the royal family would unlock something bigger.
When they first got to the United States from Canada in 2020, they needed money, they wanted fame, they wanted to be able to tell their story in their terms.
Something unstoppable, something untouchable. Hollywood deals, global influence, financial independence. That was the expectation, that was the narrative. And for a moment, it looked convincing. But look closer, because the cracks didn't suddenly appear. They were always there, quietly forming beneath the surface. According to Tom Bauer, what Prince Harry and Meghan saw as opportunity was actually a fragile illusion waiting to be tested. And once tested, it didn't hold. That confidence, that bold step away wasn't random. It was fueled by the assumption that the world would open wider than ever before. But instead of doors opening, something else started happening. The same opportunities that were supposed to secure everything began slipping, quietly one by one. No dramatic collapse at first.
Finished.
Right.
Netflix series is over. There's no great podcast. They don't generate any money. And I don't see where she is going from here. I think she has a major problem. Meghan and Harry's crisis, completely of their own making, is they have no major projects, no major money earners. And so they're more desperate than ever. And I think that they don't know what to do other than to try and come back to Britain and rebuild themselves as some sort of members of the royal family.
Just silence, delays, missed expectations, and the kind of subtle distance that says everything without saying anything. And suddenly the question isn't what went wrong, it's when did it start going wrong? Now Tom Bauer steps in with something far more direct. He doesn't hint, he states. According to Tom Bauer, Prince Harry and Meghan have reached what he describes as the end of the road in Hollywood. Not because of one failure, but because of a pattern of expectations not matching delivery, a pattern of visibility without substance. And then comes another layer, the legal defeat involving the Daily Mail.
They are so broke. Financially, the couple are a laughingstock in Montecito. A really good example of how financially challenged they are. It's almost unheard of to buy a house in Montecito and just move into it, right? You buy a house and you do like a $7 million remodeling job, right? To make it all up to date. You don't take the sort of, we've seen the insides of the house. Yep. It's hideous. It's absolutely...
Not just a loss, but a financial weight that doesn't quietly disappear. Add to that the approaching Invictus Games, where questions around sponsorship and funding are no longer whispers, but growing concerns. And behind all of it, the reality no one can ignore: the Montecito lifestyle, the security, the image, all demanding millions every single year. Pressure isn't building. It's already here. And here's where things become even more complicated. Because if the big deals slow down, what replaces them? According to Tom Bauer, much of the current income now comes from speaking engagements and limited endorsements. Not the empire that was expected, not the consistent powerhouse, just fragments. Enough to maintain the image, but is it enough to sustain the reality?
To resurrection, be the royal family, somehow find a way in which they could monetize themselves through being accepted again in Britain. But of course, they're not apologizing. They have no contrition for the terrible things they've done over the last 5 years. So I never understood exactly how they thought it would play out.
And then comes the most uncomfortable suggestion of all, that Prince Harry and Meghan may be looking toward the United Kingdom again. Not publicly, not openly, but strategically. And yet Tom Bauer claims something stands firmly in the way. Not logistics, not timing, but something far more difficult: the absence of an apology. Then the focus shifts to something that once symbolized purpose: the Archewell Foundation. It started strong, that's undeniable. But over time, questions began to surface. Not loud at first, just persistent. Questions about finances, questions about transparency, questions that don't disappear once asked. And at the same time, as the Invictus Games faced sponsorship challenges, those questions didn't stay isolated. They connected. They formed a pattern. According to Tom Bauer, the issue wasn't just perception, it was direction. A shift from impact to image. And once credibility starts slipping, even slightly, it doesn't return easily. Now the story tightens. Because this isn't just about projects or money anymore, it's about influence. According to Tom Bauer, Prince Harry's influence has been declining not suddenly but steadily. And when influence fades, everything else follows. Centibale, Invictus, partnerships, sponsors, each one facing its own quiet hesitation. Not rejection, hesitation. The kind that signals doubt. And when doubt enters the room, it doesn't leave quickly. The assumption that Prince Harry could always return, that the door to the royal family would never fully close, now feels like one of the most dangerous miscalculations in this entire narrative. According to Tom Bauer, Prince Harry believed stepping away didn't mean permanent exile. That one day, if needed, there would be a path back. But look at what followed. Years of public disputes. Tensions involving Meghan and Prince William that didn't stay private. A memoir that didn't just reveal, but exposed. And every page, every interview, every headline didn't heal anything, it widened the gap. Slowly at first, then permanently. According to Tom Bauer, the distance is no longer temporary. It's structural. And once something becomes structural, it's not easily undone. Because what happens when both sides stop speaking? When silence replaces response? According to Tom Bauer, King Charles and Prince William have shifted strategies completely. No more public reactions. No more visible back and forth. Just silence. And that silence, it's louder than anything that came before. Because without that reaction, the cycle breaks. The headlines lose momentum. The attention fades faster. And suddenly, Prince Harry and Meghan are speaking into a space that no longer echoes back. And that changes everything. But here's where it becomes even more complicated. Because the contradiction that Tom Bauer keeps pointing to refuses to disappear. The desire for privacy, while staying deeply connected to royal identity. The separation, while continuing to reference what was left behind. According to Tom Bauer, that contradiction didn't just confuse the narrative, it intensified resentment. Because the agreement, the understanding, the expectation all seem to shift in real time. And once trust is questioned, every action that follows gets reinterpreted. And then something else begins to surface. Public opinion. Not instantly, not dramatically, but gradually. According to Tom Bauer, after the Oprah interview, support was strong. Sympathy was visible. But over time, as the same themes repeated, as the same grievances reappeared in different forms, something shifted. Attention didn't disappear, it changed tone. Curiosity turned into scrutiny. Support softened into hesitation. And that base that once felt massive began shrinking. Now the emotional weight becomes harder to ignore. According to Tom Bauer, Prince Harry's world didn't just change geographically, it changed relationally. Friends, military connections, familiar structures, slowly fading. Not through one decision, but through many. And what replaces that network? According to Tom Bauer, something far smaller, something far quieter. And in Montecito, surrounded by visibility but lacking the same depth of connection, the isolation becomes harder to disguise. And when isolation meets pressure, it doesn't stay hidden for long. Then the pattern sharpens. Every announcement, every move, every visit. According to Tom Bauer, each one now carries controversy attached to it almost automatically. Even something as straightforward as a planned visit becomes a debate. Questions about funding, questions about purpose, questions about relevance. And instead of the focus staying on the cause, it shifts to the conflict surrounding it again and again until the cause itself becomes secondary. And while all of this unfolds, something else continues quietly in the background, the monarchy moving forward. King Charles, Prince William, Princess Catherine, taking on more. Expanding roles, filling spaces that once included Prince Harry and Meghan. According to Tom Bauer, the institution didn't pause, it adapted. And that adaptation sends a message without saying a word. Now the reality tightens even further. Because according to Tom Bauer, Prince Harry's greatest advantage has always been his identity as Prince Harry. That identity opened doors that didn't need knocking. But building something separate from that, something independent, has proven far more difficult. And as public attention shifts, as new stories replace old ones, the level of global focus that once surrounded Prince Harry and Meghan doesn't hold the same intensity. It fades, not completely, but noticeably. And then comes the convergence of everything. Financial pressure, fewer major deals, ongoing family distance, legal challenges, public scrutiny. According to Tom Bauer, none of these exist in isolation. They connect. They reinforce each other. They create a situation that doesn't collapse overnight, but becomes harder to reverse with every passing moment. Because expectations were set at a level so high that every step below them feels amplified.